All right, so you've got a lot of Halloween candy laying around now, and the question is, now what? What are you gonna do with it? Are you gonna get rid of it? Are you gonna let it just sit there and kind of eat it mindlessly? Or do we wanna have some strategies? So let's dig in. Maybe you ate a ton of Halloween candy yesterday or even leading up to Halloween. Maybe you're feeling concerned that you're gonna just keep eating more and more Halloween candy. So wherever you're at with it, take a deep breath. I've got you. We're gonna do a quick mini training here on how to navigate having a lot of sweets around. And this can apply to Halloween candy, of course, but it can also apply to the sweets that we're gonna be encountering a whole lot over these next couple of months throughout the holiday season. So make sure that you stick around until the end because I am going to be announcing the winner of my 100th podcast episode giveaway. And one lucky winner is going to be getting a free spot inside my new and improved intuitive eating workbook study called Intuitive Eating Exploration. Very, very excited for this. All right, let's dive right in for our mini training here. I was chatting with one of my previous Non-Diet Academy students earlier today, and she was talking about feeling worried that maybe she's eating too many sweets because she's been having them daily lately. And so we looked at what the fear is behind this and what she was worried about. And she was concerned basically that eating the sweets daily had become a habit and not something that she was necessarily wanting or that her body was actually needing. And instead of saying, yeah, I agree, I think you should probably take a break from sweets, which was kind of where her head was wanting to go with it, I told her, let's flip this on its head. Let's embrace the idea of having sweets daily as normal and wonderful. Let's think of sweets like an accessory to an outfit. That necklace or that pair of earrings that you're wearing isn't technically needed when you get dressed, but it adds fun and flair and spice to life, right? So as long as you're not eating sweets in a way that's harming you, then it's fine. Ultimately, sweets break down into carb, protein, and fat, just like every other food on the planet. And your body knows what to do with those foods. Your body is designed to know how to handle those foods. So we need to take sweets off the pedestal and think about how they're just food. So in terms of strategy, what might be a good strategy for approaching candy so that it doesn't just become a free-for-all? I'm going to share 3 tips with you here. Tip number 1, start keeping candy in your house all year long. And I know this might sound terrifying, but trust me, it works. This is based on a concept that I teach inside Non-Diet Academy. It's called de-charming. And we've been working on this with my current cohort of students that's in the course right now. And here's what they had to say about Halloween this year. I asked them, I said, how you feeling? What's on your mind? One person said, I didn't give out any candy this year, so I didn't buy any. But yesterday I bought myself a regular sized Snickers bar with almonds and it was delicious. Like she had full permission to go for the real deal, the regular size one, and to just enjoy it. Another person said, we've had a giant Costco bag in our house for a couple of weeks and I haven't binged on it like I would have before. I have maybe 3 pieces a night and I'm good. Isn't that amazing? Because these are 2 people who identified that a year ago and in years past, they did binge on Halloween candy, or they would let themselves have it in the house because they were so worried about binging on it. So this is a strategy that allows us to create neutrality around candy without judging it as good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. It just is. Again, it breaks down into carb, protein, fat. And the way that we take the charm and the power away from it is by keeping it around and giving ourselves more access to it, not less access to it. So think about this. If you are somebody who never has candy in your home, and then you go to someone's house or you go into like an office building and they have a candy dish, it's so easy to want to just keep going back and taking more and more, right? But if you always have a candy dish at your house, eventually it kind of becomes like background noise, like it's just there and you don't really touch it. This is what we're going for here. We want it to just feel like it's there. You can have it when you want it, but you don't feel the compulsion to have it all the time. And we do that by having it more frequently. So this is the perfect time of year to embrace the idea of eating more candy. All right, tip number 2 is when you're having the candy, pair it with a meal or snack. That way you're getting fullness and satiety from the other foods. Because let's face it, like candy in and of itself isn't super filling. Like it's really easy to eat a whole bag of it and to not really feel full. I mean, at a certain point you might start to feel sick, but not like full, like, oh yeah, I've had enough to eat here. But let's say you have a couple of pieces of candy with your lunch. You're going to already have some fullness from, like, let's say you had a sandwich or you had some leftovers or something. You got some fullness and some stick-to-itiveness from those foods. And then the candy becomes more like that little bit of sweetness that puts the punctuation on at the end of the meal. And then maybe later you have a couple of pieces of candy with your snack. Maybe you have like some cheese and some fruit and some mini Snickers with it. Or maybe you have a Greek yogurt and then one of those like fun-sized Skittles, or, you get the point. Mix and match and pair it with meals and snacks that you're going to be eating. And so you'll get fullness from those other foods. And then the candy is the taste. It's the accessory, like I was talking about earlier. Tip number 3 is to eat your candy mindfully. When we're eating it and feeling guilty, what do? We kind of like inhale it because it's like we're trying to eat it really quick before our brain shuts it down and says, you shouldn't be eating this. What are you doing? You can't have this anymore. And so when we inhale it, we don't have the chance to notice and savor the flavors, and we miss out on the actual enjoyment of eating the candy. And what's funny is that sometimes when people do this, they realize that they don't even like the candy that they had been binging on. Or they might discover that they actually prefer a different type of candy. So here's a little experiment for you. I want you to pretend with the next piece of candy that you eat that this piece of candy cost $1,000. It is like a bottle of exquisite wine. I want you to slow down, look at it, smell it, notice the nuances, and then start taking small bites really slowly and notice the textures and the flavors. You know when people do wine tasting and they're like, oh, there's like hints of cherry and oak and there's a full-bodied finish and all of this stuff. That's what we're trying to do here, is be that level of mindful of like noticing the nuances of it and experiencing the candy. And you will be shocked what a difference this makes. In fact, I want you to do it and then report back. Send me a message and let me know how it went. Okay, so let's recap those tips. I want you to kind of have that high level overview. The first one is start keeping candy in your house all year long. I want there to always be a candy dish that is available to you. It doesn't have to sit out on the counter. It can kind of be out of sight, out of mind, but your brain needs to know and trust that that candy is there. It's not off limits and it is available to you. Tip number 2 is start pairing it with meals and snacks. That way you're getting fullness and satiety from the other food groups, and the candy can be there for fun and pleasure and taste. And then tip number 3, when you are eating the candy, make a pact with yourself that you're going to eat it mindfully. And you're not just going to inhale it and miss out on the experience. You're going to enjoy it and give yourself permission to enjoy it. And even if you end up going overboard and binging or stuffing your face with your kids' Reese's when they're not looking, you're not a bad person. You haven't failed. You haven't done anything wrong. Give yourself tons of grace and compassion because you're learning to relate to food differently. And it takes a lot of time and practice to unlearn all of this diet culture crap that we have been told for most of our lives. Candy's not junk, it's not toxic, and it doesn't automatically turn into fat or make you unhealthy. Having an unhealthy relationship with candy and with food in general is worse for you than that Twix bar ever will be, I promise. And remember those examples of my Non-Diet Academy students who are living proof that peace with food, and candy specifically, absolutely is possible. These people aren't unicorns. They aren't capable of something that you aren't. You are capable of this too. I promise you that. The first step towards building trust with yourself around candy is to start keeping the candy around. And Halloween is the perfect time of year to work on this. So let's view this as an opportunity rather than something to be scared of. Okay, so now we are going to, I see Alex is here, Tiffany, hello, Mandy. I'm so glad that you guys made it. Okay, now we're gonna do the drawing. Check this out. I took my kids' McDonald's Halloween bucket. I thought that would be festive for our drawing, and I put our names in here earlier. I went old school, like names on the paper with a marker, and I cut them into pieces. It's like an art project. Okay, so this drawing, context for those of you watching who are like, what is she drawing for? The names in here are people who entered my podcast drawing. So last week I released the 100th episode of my podcast, which is just mind-boggling that we've made it to that many episodes so far. And as a celebration of the 100th episode, I did a little giveaway and said, listen to the episode, share your biggest takeaway, and everyone who shares is entered in a drawing to win a free spot in my program. It's going to be happening in January. It's called Intuitive Eating Exploration. So some of you might remember that a year ago in January, or I guess earlier this year in January, I did a study of the intuitive eating workbook where we went through it and discussed it. This is the new and revamped and improved version of that. We're going to be using the workbook. We're going to be exploring intuitive eating, whether you're new to it or whether you want to go deeper in your process of exploring it. That's what we're going to be doing. That's what we're drawing for here. This slot is valued at $97. I'm so excited to give it away to the lucky winner for free. All right, let's see. What do we got here? I have got Valerie Shalinsky. All right, Valerie, I don't think you're here right now, so I will reach out to you individually. Congratulations! I'm so excited. I cannot wait to share this news with you. Thank you for watching or for listening and supporting the podcast. And for everyone who tuned into this here today, you can still listen to the podcast and share your biggest takeaway with me. Valerie is here. Hi. Oh my gosh. Yay. She says I've never won anything before. Well, I am happy to be your first, winning of something like this. That's so exciting. All right, Valerie, I will get with you privately and get you all set up. And if anyone watching this on replay has questions, feel free to drop those into the comment section and go enjoy your Halloween candy. All right, bye-bye.